important topic of relationships. But I ask that you grant every one of us your Holy Spirit, that you will guide and lead us, and that you will especially be with all the panelists, that you will grant them a double portion of the Spirit, that they will give words from you. We thank you so much for all these gifts. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. So there are 5 categories of these questions. Dr. Lee, please take a seat. There are 5 categories. The first category is foundational principles on how to prepare yourself. Okay? It's all about self-preparation. That's the first category of questions. The second category of questions will be identifying who is the perfect Prince Charming or Princess for you. Okay, how do you identify that? The third will be trying to figure out how to navigate conflicts and communication. Okay? Fourth will be how do we build and strengthen relationships? And fifth but not least, how do we know that it's time to get married? Alright? So the first question, you ready? Okay, first question, 3 minutes per answer, per person to answer, 3 minutes. Okay? So the very first question, okay, yeah. How do I know if I am ready emotionally, mentally, spiritually for a relationship? How do I know if I'm ready for a relationship? Who wants to go first? Yes, how do I know if I'm ready emotionally for a relationship? Or you know the answer?
That's the I would say you have to ask your family and friends. Because you know Jeremiah 17:9 says, right? Our heart is deceitful, right? There are certain times that we might be so self-confident. We thought we are ready. So I really pray that God will have already put some spiritual mentors around you so that you could ask honest opinion from them. Okay, there are times that we think that we are ready, but I believe that you have to get some honest opinion from your friends and family. You tell them this is your desire, what do they think? Ask them to join you in prayers so that you will know the right time if you are ready. That is the most balanced way to know if you are ready for the relationship.
To me, I read on here, have you read, especially Adventist Home, chapter 6 and 6:13. So if you have, then better still if you can read the whole Adventist Home. Then you will have the idea of what starting a family means. Because if we base our expectation, our desire for companionship with the worldly standard, is very different from the Christian. So if we don't even know what it means to start a family in a Christian way, we should not start anything. If you yourself don't, like especially men, if you yourself don't even know what is God's purpose and calling in your life, don't even think about it. For ladies, if you yourself don't even know how to handle your own emotions, how to resolve conflict with one another, with your friends, or even doing some basic house chores, forget about it. Because starting a family will mean every one of them, or even more. If the children come around, more things. So if all this basic thing is not covered yet, just don't think about it.
Many times we look at marriage as happily ever after. Everything is bright and shiny. But that is only a concept. So we need to look at marriage as in reality. Right? So if you're looking at Prince Charming to make you feel good, to make you feel complete, to give you a belonging, then you're not ready. You need to be complete yourself first. You need to know who God is. You need to experience Him before, and it is not getting the other partner to help you to make you complete. So you need to be complete yourself, and so that requires a personal relationship with God. Also, like what Stella says, you need to be able to handle things yourself before you have another partner. And if you have another partner, believe me, it will be worse if you have not solved it. You are actually creating more problems for yourself with another partner. Because you already have problems yourself that you cannot solve. You have another one, you have more problems.
From my side, it doesn't come from my own knowledge, but to someone who told me, if you want to love, meaning you are willing to be hurt also. So ask yourself, are you willing to be hurt?
Thank you very much. I think in continuation with this question, there's another question that is quite similar because of the touch it, we'll skip to the third question. Here the question is, will my relationship fail if I have insecurities or past trauma that I have not dealt with? You got the question? Will my relationship fail if I have insecurities or past trauma that I have not dealt with?
Your relationship will not fail, it all depends on, because the thing is this, when you have your own insecurities, the tendency is a lot of times you look for the other partner to fulfill my insecurity. And of course, if you have a courtship beginning in love, right, everything is okay when you find that the person is like helping you out. But later on, you find that you become codependent. I don't know whether you understand the term codependent. Codependent means like if the other person is not there, then you find that you cannot function. Right? So you are attached to the other person. So I think that first of all, we need to resolve that insecurity with God first. Right? So we need to be realistic. What caused me to be insecure? And so with that, I need to have the healing first. So when I have the healing, I recognize that, with God, I can be healed. Then it will be easier to get into a relationship. Because remember, a lot of times we think of relationship as getting, receiving, but it's not like that. Marriage is giving. And you give, and you give, and you give, and you may not be appreciated at times. So if you have an understanding that I need to get and get and get, then you're not ready.
Yeah, so me, I have come here. There's a quotation that I found in the Adventist home, 45.4. The choice of a life companion should be such as best to secure physical, mental, and spiritual well-being for parents and for their children, such as will enable both parents and children to bless their fellow men and to honor their Creator. So one of the main goals that we need to have when we start a relationship is we need to know when we start this relationship, it's to secure not only physical, mental, but also spiritual aspect, not only for the couple, but also the offspring to come. Okay? So let's say I have my past trauma that my husband can help me with. My husband is there to always help me. It's very good. But I am dependent on him. And if I am not healed yet, when we have children, this trauma will pass to my children. Okay? So the point is not whether the marriage will fail. If you find a partner that can understand you, that can help you all the time, it is very good. It's possible. But for the offspring to come, it may not be the case. So So this is something that we need to ask ourselves. Healing should come first, in my opinion.
Anyone else?
I believe ladies have more insecurities and trauma compared to the men. And I also believe that ladies tend to forget it once they enter into the relationship, believing that the other person actually can help me with this problem. But the truth is, it's wrong. Because we should, before we enter into any friendship actually, we should be one with Christ first. We should always depend on Christ first regarding healing. That's why Dr. Lian and Stella says that we need to know who you should depend. It's not a human, it's not our father, it's not our parents, it's not our friends either. When we talk about relationship, people just talking about the romantic relationship, but it's also real in friendship. I can be very dependent on Joella about his problem, but that is wrong. We should actually know what caused my insecurity and go to the root, how to solve this root problem. It's not an easy journey. Even if you enter into a relationship, any relationship, I would say, you will still have to deal with different insecurity because you somehow did not see these come in before you enter into the relationship. I can say that as I never scared of losing a friend. Never. Until I have a best friend. I understand what it means to have best friend. And I keep on thinking, what does it mean if I don't have best friend anymore? So I really think that it is not just romantic relationship and talking about insecurity. It's also about
I think a lot of times the word insecurity gives a negative connotation. So if I don't have any insecurity, then I'm actually very stable, very mature. That's wrong thinking. Insecurity tells you your need. So we actually need to acknowledge my insecurity. It is actually a good thing for me. So when I acknowledge my insecurity, then I know my need of Jesus. So I'm going to the source to help and heal me. Not going to another person to help me heal me. You see the difference there? So, to acknowledge insecurity is actually a good thing. You realize that you're blind, you're naked, and you're wretched, so you need someone. But they don't recognize the insecurity is that you just hide it and just go head on with it, then you're in trouble. Right? So insecurity is actually good, right? But if you depend on yourself and look at yourself, well, I'm insecure, so I cannot build a relationship like the person say, then you're also on the other side, right? Not everybody who's insecure cannot build a relationship. You can. Just heal from that relationship. And sometimes to be able to acknowledge it requires or causes a lot of pain and shame. So am I willing to go through the pain and also the shame and also the embarrassment that is required before healing can take place?
Thank you. Okay, all right. Thank you. We will go to our second question here. Is it okay to never ever think about or consider starting a relationship, couple relationship, romantic relationship? Is it okay to never think of it? Anyone?
I remember the Paul says in 1 Corinthians, right? It says, but I say to the unmarried and to the widows, it is good for them if they remain even as I am, which is like a bachelor. But if they cannot exercise self-control, like the married, well, it is better to marry than to burn with each other. If you think that you are okay alone, you are so whole with God, it's good. You can do more as a single person. Because honestly, as a family, you have more obstacles to move forward to serve in the current, But of course, if you put all your heart and put all your time to educate the children well, investment because you're producing more missionary for God. But in the time being when the children are so young, in a way they are going to slow down your service in a way. So yes, if you are so whole with God already, it's definitely okay, especially at this time.
Now I hear this saying again. That's what people say, yeah? I say the Canaan ladies problem. That's why some of them don't get married. You see? So, a lot of times we look at singleness as a problem. So we expect that the person must get married. So if a person don't get married, there's something wrong with the person. So that's how society looks at it. Right? So it is something that the person must get married, then you are considered as successful. So if you don't get married, it's considered as you are something else, negative connotation. I think it all comes back to your calling. Right? To calling to get married is a calling. Not to get married is also a calling. Right? So the thing is that we need to prepare ourselves in the way that we need to. And otherwise it's very clearly. The lady, what can do is what? Cooking, sewing, also prepare yourself, don't think about finding someone first. And the man, what the man need to do? We cannot show back to you. What the man need to do? You have to be the priest of the family first. Right? So your spiritual life must be strong first. Right? So, and when the right comes, the right person will come.
Any more inputs?
Today we read Matthew 19. Wow, this is one said, right? Yeah, united for different reasons. The last one you say for the reason for the kingdom of heaven's sake. What I want to bring out here is no matter you choose to be married or single, I believe that you have to ask this question. How would this marital status will enhance my love to God? Which one will help me to serve God better? Okay? Use it as a compass to choose if you want to get married or remain as single. Not because, I want to look normal in front of people. I don't want people criticize me. I'm already 50, 60 years, still living. Not that kind of concern. Okay? If you want to go to that concern, you are not a believer of God. Right? Marital status, I believe, what God designed is to help us how to love Him more and how to serve Him more. Okay? Either one will be a correct answer to you, but you have to make a decision. How would this, one of these options, will help you to love God more and serve Him better? I believe this is the direction that we go.
So we need to choose to be single without feeling guilty.
Thank you very much. Thank you. The last question in this section is very linked to this. It says, how do I deal with expectations that people around me have towards me? How do I deal with expectations? I presume since a relationship, probably like relationship expectations. How do you deal with it?
I think if we are very close to God and we know our identity in God's eyes, we are not so easily shaken by what other people say. You know, like even in a marriage relationship itself, there will be a lot of expectation. Expectation that will make you be very responsive with one another. Even like I am a mother now, my expectation towards children, all this expectation is something that we have to deal with every day. But there's a quotation here says that we should not allow our feelings to be easily wounded. We are to live not to guard our feelings or our reputation, but to save souls. As we become interested in the salvation of souls, we seek to find the little differences that so often arise in our association with one another. Whatever others may think of us or do to us, it need not disturb our oneness with Christ, the fellowship of the Spirit. What glory is it, if when ye be buffeted for your faults, ye shall take it patiently? But if when you do well and suffer for it, you take it patiently, this is acceptable to God. So basically it says that it doesn't matter what other people think of you. Okay? What we need to think about is, one, I need to ask myself if this expectation is aligned with God's principle in my life. If this expectation is something that will help me to grow closer to God, why not? Why not meet up this expectation? But if the expectation that people push to you is something that have no relationship with God's standard, or even further still is bringing you away from God's standard, then we should choose to just ignore it and just move forward. So basically, how can we deal with expectation is you yourself need to have your own identity.
So Sana has said that we actually need to filter out expectation. So you need to know what your values and what you want. Right? So if you are going to fulfill the expectation of everyone, then you will be burnt out. Right? And you want to please everyone, right? Not everyone will say good things about you. Right? There's someone may say some bad things about you, and you want to make a friend with a guy who says bad things about you. You're supposed to say the person continue to say bad things about you, then you're never going to be happy. Right? So first of all, you need, like she said, you need to know your values, your identities, and filter out the things that is not in line with what your values and identity is, and just forget about it. Let people say what they want to say. Right? Nobody say good things about Jesus, right? Yeah, he lived a life. I think most of the things that people say about him is bad things. Then he just lived his life and he focused on what the Father is.
I have some illustrations that help me with this because I also a person that like to lift out people's expectations. The illustration is, if I am trying to hit everyone's target, then I am going to miss my target. So just now we were talking about calling. In our relationship, in any relationship, there is a call. There is a calling. But then if you going forward in relationship with people's expectations, not knowing what is God's expectation, then you are missing why are you in the relationship. Are you entering into a relationship because it's going to be a blessing, people receive a blessing? But actually no, without living out the expectations of others, we somehow will be a blessing to others. If only then, before entering into a relationship, we know what God expects me to have or to be or to learn. Because relationship is not just to receive, right? It's also about giving.
And sometimes when we talk about expectation, right? Suppose let's say a husband and a wife. Husband expects to help the wife. How about the wife and husband's expectation? They're trying to control me. Right? You would like to be controlled? No, you don't want to be controlled. So when you look at expectation, then you find that the guy said that, this is what I expect of you, and that's what you need to do. So your relationship will not be a happy one. It will be a lot of conflict. Why? Because you want to change the other person to be like you.
Thank you. We will move on to the next section. How do we know if this is the right person? Yeah? So the first question here is, how do I know if the guy or lady is interested in me? How do I know? Is she interested or not? Is she interested or not in me?
Ask the girls first.
This question is actually aligned with yourself. You cannot don't know one. Okay, if when you are asking yourself that, it's because you already see there's a slight interest in the person. So when our emotion is changed a little bit, our words, our intonation, our facial expression, everything will change. It's not possible not to see. And if you still think that you cannot see, then you ask people around you, they will see for you.
That's from girls' perspective. From male's perspective, that happened to me. Okay, before I continue, I'm not saying that I'm attractive male back then, but couple of times, I need some of my sisters to remind me. Don't you think that ladies like kind of too close to you? Guys sometimes are dumb, and they are really less serious about that thing. So when we talk about the next question about setting boundaries, okay, guys need to listen carefully. But to know if this person's interested in you, or different people, like what sister say, you really need to listen to people surrounding, especially when we are done with
I think not guys only. If you are in this category, you are like me. I really don't have clue. If you are asking me before relationship regarding do I have the hint? No, I don't see a hint. I don't see a clue. I don't see any changes. I see everyone is the same. So maybe I'm that category, the dumb category also about this thing. But one thing when I visit these questions, I realized that actually, if I don't know, also a blessing lah. If I know, then what am I gonna do with it? I'm gonna deal with a lot of people, not a lot. I'm gonna deal with people's feelings. Now it will feel awkward if you are a person like me. I don't know, like I'm so sorry, I don't know. That kind of person. So I guess there are a few ladies, or maybe most of the ladies also, that do not get the hint. I don't think myself is weird. I still think I am normal, not being able to detect it. But I think it's how to know? Yeah, I cannot answer this question.
Okay. When I went for a meeting, right? We talked with some that this man says, man, you put everything on you, see, you put in your time, you put in your effort, all sort of things to get the break. So like what Stella says, if someone spends a lot of time with you, keep on texting you, ask you many things, belanja you, go out of the way to whatever your needs, then there is actually a sign, right? But we also need to be very careful on the side. We need to differentiate between politeness and romance. Understand the difference? So some men or some ladies are very polite to everybody. Doesn't mean that he likes you, right? So you need to have a prayerful heart. So another one says you need to pray 5 times, right? You have.
Okay, thank you very much.
Most men will go all out like a hunter with that way. But bear in mind that the person also says, but when they got their reward, everything's
Done.
finished, done already. So no more hunting anymore. That's the bad side of things.
Okay, thank you very much. Next question is, I readjusted the question to make it flow a little better. So the second question is how to know if he or she is the right person. Answer both, we give you double time.
We have a quotation. Right, we have a quotation. There are 5 criteria. Somebody to share.
Someone is trying to quotation. Does anyone want to say?
this person have to do the house more? If this person will help you to serve God better, very simple.
To put it from men's perspective, not me, so I hear, okay, all the talks I have. You see, many times, a man doesn't only have one person, right? They have a list. Okay? I'm not sure it's wrong. But when I heard it, I told my wife, I don't have a list, I only have one. But from what I hear is that they have a list. Number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5. So number 1 don't work out, then it will be number 2, and number 3, and number 4, and number 5. So likewise you find that, I believe that all of you have your list of what you want from the other person. Am I right? The boys have a list, the girls have a list. I want my spouse to be spiritual, to be macho man, to be blah 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 blah. So you see that you actually have this. So many times you manipulate around the list that you have, right? And of course, the list is something that you begin with, right? But knowing the person further on, there are many things are. I know what it says. The way the person speaks to the mother is very important. You just go on. So if he treats the mother like a servant, then he's going to treat you like, or treat your mother like a servant. Right? So you need to actually open your eyes and observe many things. Right? But they say that love is blind. Right? Love is blind. It's actually lovers are blind. But then the love is blind. So the lover is not blind, you don't see. Everything seems to be okay. It's only after 2 years of marriage that the mask is taken out and you see everything is not okay. Right? So how to know? You have the list and you need to read the prayer. Don't let your emotions take over your cognitive function.
Quotation here is in Adventist Home chapter 6. Actually, the whole chapter will give us the list of what to look for in a man, what to look for in a woman, what kind of deal breakers means, the things that should tell us that this person is really no in a man or in a woman. So please go back and read by yourself. But one thing I'd like to add that may not be here is how to know if this person is the one. First, he possesses all the spiritual traits. But one of the very most important thing is if this person you can imagine being your best friend for life. Because if you choose to get married to someone, all those emotional butterfly in the stomach, everything will stop after a few years. But what will last is the friendship. What will last is the ability to share life with, to chit-chat with, to confide with. All these things is the qualities that you need to make sure you have the other person.
I'll let another panelist speak first before I talk about some questions we need to reflect on it.
I made a list actually. One is that they know what is my boundary, they understand what is my boundary, they understand what is my value, and they respect that. Well, we are not talking about different religions, right? We are talking about, we are both an Adventist, we are both a missionary, we are both a person that loves God. Okay, that's clear already. I don't have to put that in. But if they somehow do not respect your boundaries, do not respect your value, then you have to think, how am I going to deal with this person for a long run? That's one thing. And secondly is that they will grow with you, not just around you. What does it mean, right? This person doesn't show us that I have this quality. But as you move on together, you somehow see changes, not because of you, but it's because of what you've gone through and what this person experienced with God. That's when they grow together. Thirdly, is that conflicts. Yeah, I've learned this. Conflict is everywhere. Friendship, family, in romantic relationship, parents. It's everywhere. Don't expect there's no conflict. But then your conflict should not draw you away from each other, actually. The conflict should have help us to understand each other more. How the other person see things and how do I see things. How that person solve problem and how do I solve problem. Well, next is if you constantly, even after praying and everything, you don't feel safe, it's either you yourself still have some hurts or the other persons do not be able to give you the trust. Trust or respect is not given, it's earned. It's different. I don't just trust Jemima like that. She earned my trust through how she behaved naturally. That's one. And the last one is that, well, as a Christian, we have a goal. How we want to serve God in which way. If your goal is north and south, it seems like going very far. But then if it is compatible, then you know it's God's leading. Then you know for sure God is helping.
In the earlier answers that I gave, we asked, or one of the thought is that, what is marriage for, right? Marriage is to build. Marriage is to. So, how do you know whether it's the right person for me? If the person can bring out the best in me, right? That is what love is. So you can actually bring out the best in the other person. A lot of times, selfish love is, I want to bring out the best in me and I don't care about you. That's all the thing. So the other thing is that, are you comfortable with the person or not? Or do you have to put a mask and behave like another person? So that's a very important thing. Because you're going to live this person for life. You cannot be acting for the whole marriage life. Right? So if the person that you are going to marry can bring the best in you, right, then that is a very good thing. And the other thing is, like I said, that you need to be who you are in that marriage relationship. A lot of times, like I said, the first 2 years, honeymoon, you are not who you are. You put on a mask to pretend to be some nice guy. After the 2 years, then you really know who you are or who the other person is. Can you accept it or not? After that, it's too late for you to divorce.
Okay, any more input? Yes.
Speaking of compatibility, this is something that I remember during my courtship time, I asked a lot. Like, how do I know whether I'm really compatible with this person? What is compatibility? Until one day I read a story. The story is a real story. There is this girl, she is a daughter of a Protestant church pastor, Sunday church pastor, okay? So she grew up with a Christian value, not to divorce, and how to be a good wife, good mother, and so forth. But somehow during her teenage years, she was infatuated with a gangster. Can you believe it? It's a very bad person, very bad guy in the school. Everyone already told her, this person is a playboy, he used profane languages, he's just not the right person. Especially if you desire a healthy Christian marriage. But she, love is blind, right? So she decided to just defy everyone's opinion. Lovers are blind. So just to cut the story short, she married this guy. And true enough, after the honeymoon period, the suffering that she endured is just so much. But what happened was, because she grew up as a Christian, she knows what kind of helpmates is supposed to be. Instead of choosing to regret her choices and keep thinking that the husband is a bad guy, she started to pray for the husband. No matter what the husband did to her, no matter how bad it is, she continued to be a good wife to him. She continued to talk nicely to him. She continued to just be a good person, be a good wife. She does what is needed. So, just to cut the story short, at the end, after a few years later, she actually earned the husband's trust, and the everyone in the husband circle told him that he is such a fool to treat the wife this way, and he should change, and he did. He changed, he was converted, and he became a pastor. So, okay, compatibility is something that I learned. Even if you marry someone that is not compatible with you, but if you choose to be faithful, God can change everything. But whether it will be easy or hard. So compatibility is nothing to do with the success of marriage, but it will make your journey easier. So you can completely marry someone who is totally not compatible, but if you choose to be faithful to God, God can still change that person, and somehow the marriage will still work. But your life will be very difficult. So when we talk about compatibility, whether this is the right person, whether it's all these things is just to make our journey look easier.
Thank you very much. We have to go to the next one. How do you know it is true love? How do you know it is true love?
From my opinion, this is similar to the previous questions. You know what? You guys worry too much on this thing, but you should worry, okay? Don't worry on the right thing. From my experience, a good marriage counseling session and a responsible marriage mentor or counselor would help you to answer this question naturally. Alright? Because I did that. I experienced that. I would say that you worry too early because you haven't ready. But when you get ready, get a good spiritual mentor to be your marriage counselor. And when you begin that courtship consultation session, you will naturally, surely you will find out if this person compatible with you or if this is the right person. Okay? From my experience, I can assure you that.
Anyone else?
I think I will return the question back to the person who asked, what do you think is true love? So you need to correct the idea of true love first, then only you know whether this person is true love or not. If you don't even have the right idea of true love, then don't ask love.
The question is true love means there's no problem? It's actually relative, right? Some people think that true love means everything is smooth journey, no problem. I think that is a problem for me. There's no marriage that don't have any problem. So it's just that whether you're willing to work it out. But in the terms of that question that is asked, what is true love? And 1 Corinthians 15 tells you what true love is all about. So you take that as a standard and you test on yourself first, not test on the other first. You test about yourself. So when you test about yourself, then it tells you whether you are having true love or not. So if you are not, then you need to do something about it. But a lot of times, you use it to test on the other person.
Yeah. Okay, we move on to the next one. How to set boundaries in a courtship?
So we can ask the question first. Is boundaries good or bad? Is the 10 Commandments good or bad? Are you sure? So when your king says sit at 9:30, good or bad? See, a lot of times we look at boundaries as bad. Many a times. But we need to look at boundaries as a fence of protection. It will keep you safe. It will make things clear so that you know what the limit is. Right? So how you set a boundary? I think the first case you need to communicate. You need to communicate and tell what you think is okay for you and what the other person thinks is okay for them. And then you need to come to an agreement. Then you set the boundary. So, and you need to be consistent. Right? If you already set the boundaries, the boundary cannot go this way and cannot go that way. Understand? So the boundary is there, this is already there. You agree on it, set it as it is, don't change the boundary anymore. Then you will avoid a lot of conflicts in the future.
To add to that, fence of protection. Like let's say there's a fence of protection at the side of a cliff, okay? So this fence is there so that to guard you not to fall off the cliff. So what is the right attitude towards that fence? Are you going to, okay, let me see how close I can get to the fence to see how much I can be safe without falling off? Is that the right attitude? Or would you be further away, try to keep even a safer distance? You get what I mean? So a lot of times, we as Christians, not only in a relationship, sometimes we treat God's protection this way. We want to see how much I can go before I actually sink. That is not the right attitude. Like maybe some couple ask me, is it okay to touch both hands? Is it okay to hug a little bit? Is it okay to lean a little bit? I mean, the question is again, you need to ask yourself, how much will it tempt you? How much will it tempt the other person? And how much will it tempt the others who we see? So, there's this quotation that I'd like to share with you. Not one word should be spoken, not one action performed, that you would not be willing the holy angels should look upon and register in your books about. You should have an eye single to the glory of God. So whatever boundaries you are trying to set, try to have this kind of mindset. Is this glorifying God? Because boundaries may change according to the culture, according to the place you live, according to your upbringing. But with this kind of mind, you may not have a lot of problems.
Actually, if I truly love God, I would not ask God, what can I do in December? What can't I do in December? Right? If I really love God. Because what God expects from me is not a list of do's and don'ts. Right? He really wants me to spend quality time with Him. So in the courtship, we will not ask how to set boundaries. If you truly love God, love man, and truly believe we should honor our parents, we naturally, the Holy Spirit will really guide us. We have the clearest mind on what to do. And so fix our relationship with God first. Then everything will come naturally. My answer always very simple one. Okay? It's just that if you want to practice it in your Christian life or not. That's it.
Okay, let's say for example, you set a boundary already. Right? Let's say I take the name Jerome. Okay, not talking about Jerome, but let's say Jerome. Jerome, you set a boundary already. And then you find that, very difficult there to keep this boundary. The girl that I love say that if you continue to keep this boundary, you will cut off. But you like the person so much that there's no other person in your life anymore. So what to do? You already set the boundary, right? Then you're actually struggling, if you don't have a boundary. But when you have a boundary already, and of course this boundary is mutual and with God set up already, then it makes it easier to break. If you don't have a boundary, then you will compromise and say it's okay now. I love her so much and willing to give up. Then
move to the next question. How to know if a relationship is a closed door? Who wants to answer?
This is based on Adventist chapter 6, okay? So for men, you see this woman is definitely not the one. If she is vain and she tends to spend money on her looks, so this is not the kind of what you would want in a Christian life, okay? And then if her mouth has no wisdom or kindness, and if she speaks harsh words, she will not be the right woman that you should marry. And then if she is idle means lazy, not diligent in her works. She has no patience, she cannot forbear any pain or difficulties. can see is not filial sin. She doesn't love her parents, and she will not love your parents too. For the woman, this man will be no if they are irreverent, means they don't revere spiritual things. They are lover of idleness, they are lazy, and they are scoffers of spiritual things, they like spiritual things. They like to use broken languages, means bad words lah. They like to in this conversation, he always say bad words. And then he use liquor, drink alcohol, smokes, and has no realization of his responsibility to God. So all this kind of men, you should just say no. Actually, before even a courtship starts, you should not say yes to this man. And after courtship, during the courtship time, the closed door will be, you need to examine carefully to see if your married life will be happy or inharmonious and rapid. Let the question be raised, will this union help me heavenward? Will it increase my love for God? And will it enlarge my sphere of usefulness in this life? If this reflection presents no drawback, then in the fear of God move forward. So basically, if these three questions is answered by no, then it's better to stop the relationship.
Yeah, again, a good marriage counselor and a consistent marriage counseling session will help you to find out. But again, courtship, okay, let's have a right concept of courtship. The ultimate goal of a courtship is not to get married. Okay? The ultimate goal of courtship is to find out if these two persons could serve together, unite together. Okay? If they find that they are not fit to each other, that's alright. Nothing wrong. None of you was wrong. Okay? Because courtship, the ultimate goal is not to, okay, I get married, then I have a successful courtship. No, it was not that. I used to have a courtship that didn't end up with marriage. But I still thank God and praise Him. Why? Because He helped me to find out that I have a clear direction and how to find the next candidate so that I could serve together. So courtship never meant to get married. Alright? I mean, not never meant. I mean, the ultimate goal is not only that, is to find out if two of you are each other. Serve God better.
One is simple. If the relationship pulls you in every direction, away from God, away from your purpose, then you know that's not good.
No, I was, what shall I say? This is from a health guest, and I was amazed at what the person said. He said the first thing is that you must have the same religion. Because the religion is the one that's going to seal the long marriage. So religion means not only Christian, but Adventist. So if all the challenges that you face, religion will help you. So if you have a person that is not of the same religion, that's already a closed door, then you don't think of it anymore. And the other thing would be is that many times we tend to justify certain things, right? And we tend to close an eye to all the signals. And you think that it's okay, I can handle it now. Time will resolve the thing. But many times it may not necessarily resolve. Now, one thing I've learned that's very, very important is number one. Sometimes you find that when you get into a relationship, right, someone will tell you things, and then later on you find you get deeper and deeper in the relationship. Then you find out that, oh, this is not the person that I want to be in the relationship with. But then somehow, because you are in the relationship, right, you get, use the word trapped or stuck. and you cannot move. See, if I were to break the relationship, the person will be depressed, the person is already depressed. There's all this emotional trauma. If I break the relationship, what if it commits suicide? What if does this and does that? So in a certain sense, you have gone in that relationship that you are not supposed to in the first place. Because different religion, different values, different things. And now the person tells you so many things, and then codependent already. Then what are you going to do? So you need to be very cautious. Right? You don't want to come to a situation in which you're trapped and you cannot do anything but just get married, and then you have a big problem. So that's where the first few questions comes. You need to solve your insecurity, your depression, all those things first before you get into a relationship.
Thank you very much. I think we need to ask one more question to this to help my parents picture. So do I need to should I then break up with anyone or not go in a relationship if this person isn't a saint? Meaning like isn't perfect, like sanctified lah. You know, like isn't really for like, you know, it's like the question is, do I need to find a perfect person, or is any imperfection in a person a sign for me to break off?
I think we need to read what really means in 1 Corinthians 13. Because love suffers much. Love bears all things. Love hopes all things. Does not puff up. You know, if you really see carefully all these attributes of love described in 1 Corinthians 13, nothing is giving you good feeling. You know, everything you suffer much. You sacrifice. You hope all things. You bear all things. As if it's all bad. But that's what true love really means. We are not looking for someone perfect because we are all human and sinners. We ourselves, I myself, have my own imperfections. So if I'm looking for someone perfect, that will be very unfair and very severe. So what we ask ourselves is not about whether we have true love for this person or whether this person loves me so much. But what we need to ask ourselves is, am I willing to learn to love this person with this attribute? It means that this person, with her weaknesses, with his impurities, with his bad character, is there? Am I still able to be willing to be there, to pray for him, and to be there just to help him, to be his son, to be her helpmate? Eventually, you will lead to this. So if you are not willing, just like Ms. Gloria said, if you are not willing to put ourselves in that situation, to be vulnerable, to get hurt, then relationship is really, really wrong.
Character can be cultivated, right? And so love needs to be cultivated. Imperfections, ask yourself, are you perfectly perfect? If you yourself cannot see yourself totally and completely perfect, what are you expecting from others? Because the only perfect that ever exists in this earth is Jesus. So it's not about being perfect, but it's actually knowing what is perfect and how to be perfect, and then through the relationship we are going towards that goal, perfections of Christ.
If you look for someone who is perfect, of course, like what they say, nobody is perfect. But if you think for someone who is perfect, then you will see yourself as a very insecure person. Because you find that you cannot match that person that is perfect in perfect, right? And you will be putting your expectations to be very high, and then you cannot fulfill your expectation, then you also will suffer. So the first place is to recognize that nobody is perfect. Right? And what Simon says, are you willing to work through that imperfection? Is a big question. Right? So if you go through our counseling session, our premarital counseling session, what we try to do is actually to cut down as much of the problem areas as much as possible, so that you don't have so much problem areas when you get. But if you want 1,000% or 100% marriage conflicts, then go ahead.
Okay.
I add the conclusion. So what is more important rather than finding someone who is perfect is finding someone who is believable. That will be a more practical and better view.
And remember that marriage is not one win and one lose. A lot of times human nature is that I want to win, and of course there's no better and lose, right? But marriage relationship is there's two winners, not one winner. So that's why you find that in all things, whether perfection or imperfection, we keep the goal that I want to have two winners. I do not want to hurt the other person. I want to build the other person, and I want to bring the best out of the other person.
Okay, thank you very much.
For the other one single thought. Everyone can love a lovable person, right? Whereas you need to spend time with that person. But to really, marry a person, it means you have seen the not so lovable side. And that person also see your not so lovable side. And then you commit to each other, and both of you willing to bear it, both of you can make a decision to improve together. That is true love.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's we'll continue on with the next one. Thank you very much. The next question is about navigating conflicts and communication. How to handle conflicts the right way?
Put on your boxing gloves.
Actually, I learned this like systematically when I give the marriage counseling. Basically, there are 10 steps that I can share with you. But one of the major things to be able to follow through these 10 steps is that you need to be emotionally stable. Usually, when conflict arises, we tend to, we just want to stand our ground and get it done at the time. And that may not be the best time. Because when conflict arises, our emotion is very strong. Usually, we tend to say things that we don't really mean, or with the words that is not so wise. So when conflict arises, and when we can see the spirit is not right, sometimes it's better to just take a break and just tell, okay, we are not going anywhere, and I think I'm not ready to discuss this now. Let's just take a break first. Let's go separate ways and pray about it. Later, when we calm down, we can meet again and talk again. But of course, we need to set the time to talk again. I don't just, okay, but then the feeling is better, then you forget about it. Also not like that. So you have to make sure the emotional is stable, because then only can go through the
Talk again, then we have silent treatment. There's a few things I want to say. The first thing is that, like I said earlier, remember that in a conflict, you want both to win. So if you have that, then you find that you'll face the conflict very differently. And the other thing is that a lot of times in a conflict, we use words that we may not realize that raise a red flag. Right? We use words like you, always, never, all the time, every time, and that is not to be used. Because those are the words that's not going to settle the conflict. It's going to make it worse. So you want to solve a problem. So if you use the word never all the time, you're like this, will never change, then it's going to be like this. Right? So conflict, you also need to recognize the fact that sometimes in a conflict, we focus on the person rather than the method. You got what I'm trying to say? We focus on the person rather than address the issue. Right? We focus on the person that caused the issue. rather than addressing the issue itself and not the person. You need to recognize the fact that Satan is the instigator of many things. It is Satan that puts thoughts in us, and that's why we do the things we do. So if our target is the person and not Satan behind it that causes a person to think like this, then you will attack the person with anything. So that's why we need to pray before we enter the conflict. And never solve the conflict when we are emotionally unstable. Because we tend to say certain things that we should not say. And what's gonna say? Just go down first, both agree, and talk about it when everything is cool.
When there is a conflict, we respond, not to react. It's different. When we have conflict, we listen to understand, not listen to reply. They are different. Because if you listen just for you to reply, you are defending yourself. But if you listen to understand, then you know where is the miscommunications for this. And then don't jump to one thing to another thing. I think female are more prone to do this. I don't know about the men. But female, when we know that we are wrong, sometimes we don't want to admit that we are wrong. I'm talking this not just in relationship, but it's also in friendship. I believe conflict, dealing with conflict, is something that all of us should master as a human being, not just a lover. Because it involves your family, your friend, and other. Address one issue at a time.
In a conflict, guys, if you're on the right side, then if you are the one who make no mistake, doesn't mean that you have to prove the others you are right. Okay? You don't need to do that. Because a lot of time our spouse or even our female friends, our sisters, what they really need is emotional support. If you didn't fulfill that part of me, okay, no matter what kind of perfect truth that you have, and you're the perfect person, you still didn't solve it. So what I want to say is like what Miss Roy said. As a guy, when you want to stay with our female friends, or even our spouse, you have to understand that emotional needs. Okay? They share this with you, not necessarily means that they need a solution or they need a lesson from you. Okay? For example, like let's say your spouse made a mistake. Obviously, dumb mistake. Okay? Then you don't need to go into that way. Oh man, this is not the first time already. Okay? I need to teach her a lesson that she will never make the same mistake again. No. Okay? She didn't need that. What she need is you just tell her, leave it to me. Alright? I'll handle this. Next time you have the same mistake again, leave it to me. I'll help you to solve it. Okay? That's the support that she needs. Okay? So guys, when you are on the right side, you don't have to prove the other that you are right. Okay?
Three things I want to say. I hope you remember the three things. The first thing is that in a conflict, there is rules. Okay? There's rules. Don't, I learned this when I went for this course. Number one, don't hit under the belt. Don't hit under the belt. Then to say, don't dig out all the past things that has happened before into your history to make you win in the life. Okay? So don't dig out all the past. Number two, that's the problem. Number two is number two is remember that who should say sorry first, husband or wife?
Anyone.
Why husband? Because you are the priest of the family. So the husband, even though you are right, is good. to resolve that conflict and say, I'm sorry. Because that word sorry, even though you didn't make anything wrong, this is communication. Facilitates communication. Or else you find that the silent treatment for a few days. Right? That's not sorry. The third one is what?
Okay, thank you very much. We are very much out of time. We will skip this to the next one. And we will combine two questions. So how do I build full 100% trust? And how do I recover from broken trust? We'll give 10 minutes to this. How do I build 100% trust and how do I recover from broken trust? Let's go.
So many times, relationship actually builds the trust slowly. Now you ask yourself, are you willing to share all the things about yourself with someone you don't trust? No, right? You will not. So that's when you start to think of it that it's like an onion. That you open one layer, then you open the next layer, then you open the next layer, until you go to the very inside of things. So that's how God treats us. So we need to look at it is that trust is just something that's very important. And to be able to build the trust, you need to be truthful. You need to tell what your true feelings are. If you don't like it to be done this way, you don't like your boyfriend to put an arm around you, then you say it. Right? You don't for the sake of, if I say like this, then you will not say it, then we will break off. No. So you need to be comfortable with what you feel is okay. Then you find that will build respect and trust for the other partner, the other person. And you feel, in this relationship, it's not a stress to you. It is actually binding and bonding for you.
Trust, you can't rush it. You have to require time and patience. Because you say, we are already married to each other. No, we share our lives with each other. Why don't you just share your honest feelings? Just tell me how you feel. But not everyone can do that easily. Alright? That really requires time and patience. You just need to let the time do the right thing, and when the time is right, then the trust will build. Yeah, that's right.
So the words that you speak, the promises that you say, you need to perform it. Because if what you say and what you promise, you don't perform it, then you will not build any trust. So that's one very important thing is your marriage partner very important. Because it's very important marriage, right? But you look at your marriage partner, what's really wrong? It's not a contract, It's a covenant. So look at it as a covenant.
Sorry, there's two questions, yeah? How to build trust and how to recover from broken trust.
Build 100% trust. To me, trust a human being 100% is I think almost impossible. Unless we know that this person loves God and he has an eye signal for the glory of God. No matter what he does, even when he does something that hurt me, I will still be able to trust him, knowing that he can change. If I tell him honestly, he's willing to change. And if I remind him that this is not glorifying God, he is willing to change too. So trust, it's earned, like what we have been discussing about. And it's especially true if you have a relationship with God. Because it is much better, it is much safer to trust a man you love God rather than trust a man who seems to be very nice, very approachable, very kind, but doesn't love God. That's why the Spirit of Prophecy says even if this young man possesses any kind of traits of character that is commendable in this whole earth, but lacking of the one important thing which is faith. Because human is bound to change. We are very dynamic creature. will always change. So if this man, he is a very nice person, very kind and everything, there's no guarantee that he will never change in the future because he doesn't have that one true principle that will hold him still.
Broken trust.
I'll answer both. One is, the illustration is like this. Imagine that you are a plant and the other person is also a plant. You can be durian and that person can be banana. What I'm trying to tell is that there are some people that can grow as fast as banana, right? That's why they trust people very easily. There's some people that grow as slow as durian tree. So you want to keep trust like that, people like that. You cannot rush their trust towards you, or neither you can rush your trust towards them because it grows. And when you want to plant something, it needed time and it also needs truth, which is for the water, which is water in the sense of plant. That's one thing about trust. To mend broken trust, this is difficult. Be it the other person that is being betrayed or the person that betrayed. Both sides are very difficult, depending on your personality and character. But I would say it also requires time. Look, like I said, you are a plant. If you give poison to a plant, will it grow well? No, it doesn't grow well. But I am saying it doesn't grow well. But it will still grow. What does it mean? For it to grow even better, maybe have potential, depends on what it being fed from. If that plant are constantly fed with poison, which is maybe lies, is honest, right? You actually cannot expect that plant to grow. It's just like us. If people keep on lying to me, it's very difficult for me to trust. But it's possible if only us who being betrayed or us who betrayed choose to look towards Jesus. Because Jesus is able to help us with whatever brokenness that we have. Just imagine a broken trust is just like a pot. A pot, if you glue it properly, it still can hold water. But you still can see the crack. Whatever betrayal have done, it's still it's there. But it's healed. You understand?
One of the challenges that we face is trying to decide trust and forgiveness. You see, trust and forgiveness is different. So I can forgive a person for the wrong done to me, but I may not necessarily trust the person. Like she said, trust is earned, right? So, but sometimes you're confused. You say that, okay, I forgive the person, then it's okay, I can trust him again. So we need to differentiate very finely that forgiveness is not trust. So when you forgive the person has to prove himself that he is worthy to be trusted again. Understand the difference? So if the person cannot prove himself to be worthy to be trusted, then I don't trust. But one of the problems that I see happening is that when a person does something wrong, the person don't face the consequences of the wrong. That's the problem. So when the person has done something wrong and he doesn't recognize that he has a penalty to pay for the wrong, and we, like what happened in our church sometimes, we transfer to a different department and it continues like this. So then you find that the person will not learn. Right? Or we say, okay, never mind, we forgive you. But we said we cannot do this, we cannot do that. But the person cannot experience the penalty of a fake trust. So the person gets to experience the penalty of a fake trust. Then only he knows that, okay, this is something that is carried out. So I need to do something about it. not by ignoring the thing and give second chance. You are not helping the person at all. You are just trying to show your so-called compassion and your leniency. And that person is going to do the same thing again, or maybe in a very different way. Because you have not learned the penalty of breaking the trust. So we need to know that, forgiveness, yes, I can forgive you, but it doesn't mean that I can trust you.
Okay. I think we'll go to the last question. What are the indications that you are ready for marriage? I guess we will tie it together with the previous question if you want to answer this or that one, but you can answer one. The previous one is how are some ways to strengthen your relationship with boyfriend, girlfriend spiritually? So these two questions, answer one of them.
Know if you are ready for marriage, I guess you have to first ask yourself, have you found your life calling? How are you going to spend your life to serve God? Yeah. Okay? If you haven't found your life calling, don't think about marriage. Okay? Because Adam has a job, then he do it faithfully. So faithfully that he felt that he needs some help, so that both of them could serve God better. Okay? So if they ever experience how to serve God like faithfully and diligently, okay, I believe that maybe you are not so ready for marriage. That's why. Found your life calling first. Pray for that first.
Again, sometimes like for young people, I was there before, so I think I know a little bit. Our mind, our idea of love and marriage has been so much corrupted by the world standards. You know, like the movies that we watch, or even the little cartoon for little children, they have included all this fantasy, all this idea, the castle building stories, like what Alan White says, about what marriage is. So again, we need to try to understand, have we as an individual have the right idea of our identity in Christ? This is the first thing first. So, do I know my responsibility as a person? Do I know my responsibility as a Christian? Do I know my responsibility, like let's say if I'm a woman, do I know a responsibility of a woman? Am I ready? You can ask yourself that question. And if you are a man, do I know my responsibility to God? And to add to it, do I know my life calling? Because it's very irresponsible for a man who don't even know your life calling, who is not even able to earn a living yet, to ask a hand of a marriage from a lady. It's very irresponsible. Because when you choose to start a family, you choose to feed this family. You know, if you are a part, like let's say man now, okay, I can be very, very blunt here. If you are a person who is, I'm not saying lazy, you choose, you only like to do a certain work, okay? You don't like you are not faithful in the little things that is being assigned to you. I'm sorry to say you are not ready to be a head of a family. You know, because when you are married, let's say your life calling is as a pastor, but life will bring you somewhere that you cannot do the things that you like, but somehow you still have family to feed. So what do you need to do? You have to find anything within your means. Do anything you can to still feed your family. So you cannot, life is not always there to feed what you like or what you want. So when it comes to that, are you able to persevere, to work hard, to still keep your promises to feed your family, to take care of them? For a woman, that's why the marriage promises are there, right? Are you ready to put yourself in that kind of time when your husband maybe not able, maybe they got sick, got into a car accident, not able to fulfill his promises, his duty as a husband? You have to be there to hope for. Are we ready for that? If we are not even ready for that, then we should not think about marriage. Because marriage is so much. I'm not saying there's no joy. The joy something that is expected, everyone is looking forward and know that it's there. But so many people overlook the fact that marriage is not all about it.
Anyone else?
I will answer the previous question. How to strengthen your relationship with a boyfriend or a girlfriend? This one is very easy. That's why I choose this. How you strengthen your spiritual on your own? It's the same way you're going to strengthen it with the other person. It's the same way that I do as a teen. It's the same way that we do as a therapist, or even wherever you are. It's the same way. There are no difference. It's just that together, not alone.
Traditionally speaking, right, in our Chinese culture and Asian culture, a lot of times the breadwinner is the male. But there are some cultures like this, some of the states in India, where the female is the dominant one, right? So can the husband be a homemaker and the wife work? Can, right? So, culturally speaking, yeah, the man is the breadwinner, but may not necessarily be enough. But when you follow the spirit of prophecy, it says that the lady is the homemaker, not rather than the man. So here, one important thing is that the person who is the breadwinner needs to be financially responsible, right, for the needs of the family. Then you need to build a strong conflict resolution skill first before you get married. Because definitely you're going to have conflict. So in order to know how to handle the conflict, you need to know what are the methods to solve the conflict. And the other thing will be is that we need to be emotionally matured before we enter the relationship. So I say, right? If I am not emotionally matured and I'm looking for the other person to fulfill my emotion, then we also get in trouble. So there are many signs that tell you whether you're ready for marriage. But one very important thing that I noticed over the last months is many times we are pressured to get married. That is the problem. So our parents or somebody pressure you, hey, you're already 30-something and you haven't married yet. So then you also fall pressured to get married. Then you find that you are actually not taking things slowly and prayerfully. Then you get into a lot of problems. So don't let anyone pressure you to get married. Right? Or even for the sake of after getting married, have a child. Because when you're not ready for it, then you better not have it. Because once the baby come out, you cannot put them into the womb. Right? Once the baby come out, like Dr. last say, your journey has already begun. Sleepless night, changing pampers, washing all this and all that. Your journey has begun. So you need to be ready.
I remember last time I talked to my friend who is so eager to get into a relationship. She's just craving for a relationship. So I told her, you see, the fact that you are craving for it so much, it shows that you are not ready. Because when you are craving so much for it, as if you are hungry, like your tummy is very hungry, no matter what food in front of you, good or not good, healthy or not healthy, you can't even think anymore. What you can think is, I'm hungry, quickly get into my mouth. You know what I mean? So sometimes when we crave so much for that kind of companionship, for that kind of relationship, we know we are not ready because we cannot have the right mind to really consider whether this is the right way.
In addition to what she said, she brought to my mind some of the challenges that I've heard people say is, you see, sometimes you find that when you're raised in a family, you don't have love. Right? Especially father's love for your baby or mother's love for your man. you're longing for that relationship. So any Tom, Dick, and Harry that comes around, then you find that because of your craving, you want to be loved. So your purpose of getting married is to want to be loved. Yeah. Or the other thing is, you want to get out of the family. You get out of the cycle that you are in. You know, either because a sibling is abusing you, or either because your parents saying a lot of things about you. And so you think that, oh, I better get married to get out of this family. You are also in trouble. So there are many reasons why people want to get married. So you need to genuinely ask yourself, why? Is it because of insecurity? Because of money? Is it because of what? Right? If you get out and get married for the wrong reason, then you are in trouble. Remember that getting married is very easy, you know. Very easy to get married, man. Anybody come along and just get married. But to remain married is very challenging. So a lot of times, from what we see movies and everything, wow, they just get married and we think that everything is fine. But to remain married is very challenging, and we have discussed about it earlier.
One last thought. As a member of our loving community, okay, for those who still remain single, give them rooms. For those married, no children, give them rooms. For those married, only have one children, give them room, okay? Don't give them support. Instead of like, there's some invisible pressure. Okay, that's our responsibility as well.
Don't pressure and say, hey, you're married for 10 years already, how come no children? Don't say like that. Because you're actually pressuring them.
You just have to be careful as a Christian, whatever word you say, it can really influence you. You may mean good, you know, you may just mean like try to be friendly, but you didn't even realize that your word actually carry weight of expectation to someone's mind. You don't know that. So we need to make it a habit before we comment on something. We stop and listen first. Am I going to get pleasure, or am I going to give encouragement? So I think as a Christian, it should be our habit, new habit.
Thank you very much. We will end here. Hope you gained something. Before we end, we will close. We invite Mr. Chong to pray for us. I don't think you might.
Let's pray. Father God, as you